Accidentally conceived our fourth child with my ex-husband after our son's surgery, and now I'm lost in impossible choices. I was married to my ex-husband for 10 years, although our last 2 years together were spent drifting apart in different states of separation. Divorce finalized about a year ago, and in that time, we've had to figure out how to co-parent our 3 amazing kids, ages 10, 8, and 5. Now, against all expectations, I'm pregnant with our fourth. The surreal tension of not knowing whether we'll actually become parents to a fourth child is eating away at me. I am torn in every direction. We are both so conflicted. Our marriage never descended into the chaos of abuse or infidelity, at least not while we were together. He did sleep with someone else during our separation, but that wasn't the real cause. 1,000 other things stacked up until walking away seemed the only relief. Even being the one who filed, the sense of failure and heartbreak bowled me over, and for a long time, I drowned in it. Yet once that pain dulled and the paperwork was stamped, something shifted. Our interactions turned startlingly platonic, and by stripping away the weight of a romantic relationship, we somehow worked better, almost like friends at last. We split custody of our kids evenly, 50-50. That's its own heartache. My whole identity is wrapped up in being their mom. On the days the house is empty, I wander around trying to remember who I am when I'm not making snacks, guiding bedtime, breaking up squabbles. Even so, I honestly feel relief that they have him, a loving, steady father. My gratitude doesn't erase ever-present sadness on those quiet nights. We still show up together for the kids, sitting side by side at ballet performances or soccer games, sharing buffers of peace for their sakes. He has a girlfriend now. She came into his life not that long after the ink dried on our divorce. I'd be lying if I said it didn't hurt. I cried much more than I care to admit. But he waited a good 6 months to bring her into our children's world, an act I'm deeply thankful for. The kids like her, which makes things simpler and harder at the same time. Then everything changed again. Our youngest was suddenly in the hospital. Emergency surgery. In the grand scheme, it was minor, and he's perfectly healthy now, but the days in the hospital nearly broke me. My ex was there the whole time, never leaving my side, standing strong whenever alarms went off in my heart. He became that unshakable rock I remembered from years before, the person who'd take care of everything when I was falling apart. One night, sitting beside our son's hospital bed, he told me, "You're still the most important woman in my life." It felt like having breath return to my lungs. When our boy finally came home, my ex came back to the house with us. The relief of normality, of our whole family gathered in familiar rooms, swept over me. After the kids were asleep, something undeniable pulled us together. We lost ourselves in fiercely passionate, desperate sex that neither of us planned or even wished for, but needed all the same. We fell asleep together, and in the middle of the night, we let ourselves tumble into each other again. By morning, we both agreed it was just an overflow of emotion from that terrifying ordeal. We promised not to let things get awkward, that we'd carry on as the cooperative co-parents we'd become. But then, everything complicated again. I realized I was pregnant. We hadn't used any protection. There wasn't even a stray condom in my house. Since the divorce, I haven't bothered with birth control. There was simply no need. A part of me wondered later if my body knew exactly what it was doing, if seeing him caring for our kids triggered something primal inside me. My cycle is so regimented. Every time we've tried before, I conceived on the first try. Our first child was an utter, delightful, panic-inducing surprise, barely 2 weeks before our wedding, finding out I was pregnant on the eve of our honeymoon. Now here I am again, about 8 weeks along, after another emotionally charged night. I kept the secret to myself for a week, afraid, uncertain, unable to decide what came next. I finally told him last weekend, hoping deep down he'd know what to do, hoping he'd take charge, untangle the future for us. Instead, I was left alone with these impossible choices. Logic tells me it makes no sense to have a baby with the man I once chose to leave. We do not need a fourth child, and yet, I can't seem to let go of the hope, the ache, the longing for what might have been, or might still be. Update 1. It's almost like we're friends, can do things with our kids, and enjoy being around each other. About 2 months ago, our youngest unexpectedly ended up having surgery and spending several nights in the hospital. He's fine now. My ex-husband and I stayed together with our son the entire time he was in the hospital. When he was discharged, my ex-husband came back to my house, or former family home, at our son's request. He was just supposed to spend a few hours there, help our son get settled, then go home. However, I guess all of the emotions and being together as a family in our former shared home got the better of us and we ended up having sex twice that night. Now, I'm 9 weeks pregnant. I wasn't on birth control, was on it until after our divorce was finalized, but have been intentionally remaining single for a while and not involved with men in any way, so was giving my body a break from birth control. Initially we were undecided about what to do, but as of last weekend we made the decision together to have the baby. It feels sort of crazy to me, definitely not a situation I ever imagined I'd find myself in. I already picture this baby looking just like our other kids. I guess that's why I struggled with the idea of not continuing with a pregnancy, which I know isn't really a valid reason to have a baby. This is probably the last baby I'll ever have. I'm 39, so even if I were to meet a man who I trusted enough to want to have a child with and a future with, I'll be well into my 40s by then. I plan to be very picky, but I'm not even at the point of wanting to find somebody new yet. We're not getting back together, for now. We get along great when we're not married and living in the same house. We feel it'd be irresponsible to all of our children to attempt to get back together right now because of this. Chances are higher that we'll be able to co-parent this baby successfully if we live separately. However, we are committed to working together to do what has to be done to take care of the baby when he or she gets here. Our kids are doing so great right now and they seem very happy and secure with the current setup of our lives and homes, so we want to stick with this for now. I don't know if I really understand what I'm getting myself into. Our other kids were all born into a marriage and a two-parent home. I know that sharing custody of a baby will be a lot different than the kids going back and forth between homes. I might be feeling too positive about it, but I think it could work out fine. The new baby will just see this as normal, right? Next thing to worry about will be having to explain this to everyone when we tell them. My family and friends will get over it, but I'm especially concerned with explaining it to our kids. I'm worried our oldest won't take the news well. She also knows what sex is and how babies are made. And for everyone concerned about his girlfriend, she's not his girlfriend anymore. These two are 100% getting back together within a year and then breaking up again in another. Update 2. Several people have asked me for an update on my situation. My ex-husband and I are having a baby. My other posts are on my profile. A recap is that we were married for 10 years, divorced for almost 5 years now, and have 3 kids together. We slept together twice during a stressful family time and I ended up pregnant. We've since admitted we are both still in love with each other, but have not actually declared that we're back together, mainly for the same of our kids. I last posted toward the end of January. I'm 28 weeks pregnant. We're having a little girl. As far as the pregnancy goes, it's been like a textbook pregnancy and so I feel pretty good, just more tired than I ever remember being during pregnancy before. My husband and I continue to live separately and share custody of our kids. We each have them 50% of the time. They're all aware that we're having a baby and none of them seem to be deeply confused or emotionally damaged by their divorced parents having a baby together. We explained it in an age-appropriate way. Our oldest child was more grossed out that her parents had sex than anything else, since she now understands what sex is and how babies are made. We've been involving her quite a bit and she's excited now. I even took her to one of my appointments. She's excited to have a baby sister and she understands that mom and dad love her and her siblings, that we love this new baby, and that we love each other as people and as parenting partners without actually being together as a married couple in one house. Meanwhile, my husband and I have started to attend couples counseling. We tried marriage counseling when we were separated before we divorced, but I think we were both already pretty mentally done, so counseling didn't do much for us then. I think we're getting way more out of it now because we're actually invested in it and putting in a lot of effort. Sometimes I feel great after a session, and at other times I feel not so great and am reminded of reasons why we divorced. Overall, I think it's a good thing for us no matter what happens with our relationship. We've been sleeping together for the last few months. We already agreed that we won't be seeing other people at this time. I wouldn't be saying while pregnant anyway, and it's not as if I'll even have time with 3 kids and a newborn. We agreed that we will not open ourselves to being with other people while we are working on our relationship and before that conversation is had between us. We are carrying on just as we have been since our divorce, as far as our kids are concerned. Dad doesn't spend the night at our house. We do things together as a family sometimes, but we were doing that even before anything was rekindled between. We're not acting as a couple when we're together as a family. We're friendly with each other, but there is no holding hands, kissing, etc. Our main concern is our kids. We refuse to say we're back together. If we officially get back together, we really want to feel certain that it'd be for the long term, that we're ready to commit to that. We don't want to give our kids whiplash or do anything to make them seek insecure about our family. We would like to get to that point, but we aren't there yet. I think if my husband had his way we'd be there. He's ready to say he's there now. He'd love to move back home. But he understands and agrees with my reasoning. I'd love for him to move back home too, based only on emotions. We both have things to work on, separately and together. I want to be a better spouse this time around. I thought I was being a really great wife, and I was on the surface. I also know that right now I feel so in love and I'm hopped on hormones and pregnancy happiness. I always feel super happy, super positive, and super horny during pregnancy, and I know I have to be careful with trusting anything I feel during this time, because it's like I'm on a 24/7 natural high. I think the biggest issue right now is that he's far more let's throw caution to the wind, even though he agrees with all of my reasoning, and I want to be way more careful. I've made a few posts about my husband getting pregnant after we divorced. We were married for 10 years and had 3 kids before getting divorced. We got along so much better after we divorced and we've been really good co-parents during this time, but we were functioning strictly as friendly co-parents. We slept together around 1 year after our divorce was finalized and conceived a 4th baby, which we ultimately decided to keep. Our 4th child, a sweet baby girl, was born at the end of May. She's so perfect and we both feel we made the right choice to bring her into the world. It was the smoothest, easiest birth I've had and I take that as a sign. I feel like I fell in love with him all over again during labor and delivery, and that's when I knew I was ready to make our relationship official and public to everyone, including our children. Contrary to all the assumptions, our kids really don't seem to be negatively affected or confused about the baby, and I don't think the newest baby is getting any less love or attention than our 3 kids born within our marriage had/have. This is normal to them now. They understand we're still a family, and no matter what, we'll always be a family whether mom and dad live together. We are still living separately and technically still maintaining the custody schedule we had in place for our oldest 3 kids. Although, the kids are with me every weekday right now since it's summer break and I'm on maternity leave. We have a different arrangement for the baby, but he does take her overnight a few nights a week. I got our family home in the divorce and he spends time here with all of us. He has spent some nights here at home to help with the baby, but he doesn't stay in my bedroom quite yet. He has not moved in, although he has tried and continues to suggest it. This is probably the biggest point of contention these days. To me, this feels like the best of both worlds. I love him and truly don't want to be with anyone else. I think I sort of function better and am happier also living in my own space that he just visits. I know it's not the norm, and some might say this means I don't really love him as much as I think. I really believe I'm just one of those people who needs more independence and alone time, and maybe we never would have got divorced in the first place if this had been the arrangement from the beginning. Is it sort of selfish? Maybe. I don't know anyone else with this arrangement, but I know some people out there do this. For all intents and purposes, we are together in a relationship again. We've made it official and exclusive, as juvenile as that sounds. We had already made it official between ourselves, but we hadn't really announced it to family and friends or our kids. We are still in love with each other or back in love with each other, and we are not seeing anyone else. Our kids have adjusted well. They've been seeing a therapist since we filed for divorce, so that has really helped us navigate some of this. Prior to the baby's birth, we did not tell them that we were essentially in a relationship. Only so long you can keep that a secret from your kids. Even though they're young, they're perceptive. So we've recently explained to them that mommy and daddy love each other, but we get along better living in separate homes, and for now we think this is the best thing for our family. The only problem is that now they keep asking about when we will all live together again. I'm sure it's a little confusing to them, but I'm not sure how we could be handling it any better. We attempted marriage counseling when we separated, before divorce. It was not successful. I don't think either of us was 100% committed to it at the time. He really did not take it seriously back then, but I was more stubborn and resistant than I originally realized. We're in couples therapy now and it's like night and day compared to last time. I'm scared to live together again, so we aren't going to do that anytime soon. It's not that I don't trust him. I don't trust us as a couple. I refuse to put my kids through all of that again. So, getting remarried and moving in together isn't something in the plans right now. Maybe one day. I hope we can get to that point. I just don't want my kids to have to go through a divorce and splitting households yet again. I feel like they'd lose all trust in us then. I think it might be best for us to find a way to each have our own place next to each other or on the same property, instead of one actual house that we share. Other than not living together, we are together. It's no different than any other couple that's dating but doesn't live together. Well, it's a little different since we share kids and we were once married, and I still usually refer to him as my husband, but not too different. We aren't keeping our relationship a secret anymore, so we aren't pretending to not be together. Everyone knows now. We spend a lot of time together. But yeah, he may eventually want more than I do, as in a relationship where we live together 24/7. Yes, he had a girlfriend at the time, it's in my post history and I'm not trying to hide it, but we have moved well beyond that now. People are downvoting her comment because it is pretty black and white when it comes to cheating. Cheating hurts others, and a lot of people value living in a world and having actions that don't result in hurting others. He was in a relationship and committed to his girlfriend when he decided that he had the right to sleep with his ex and not immediately tell her that he did it. She deserved better than to get trauma from someone who claimed to be committed to her, but was willing to step out on her. Cheating on someone does result in emotional trauma, which will affect how they will view love and relationships going forward. Personally, if he wasn't ready to be in a relationship with her, then he should have left her alone. I am tired of men in particular getting into relationships with women when they know they are not clearly over their ex-partner. It is a sign of selfishness and pure disregard of another human being's health. She was used as an emotional support and sex object by him, because no one that respects their partner would do something this cruel. So I'm not going to cheer on someone who could have just avoided this entire situation by not being in a relationship when he was clearly not ready to be in one, and hurt someone deeply. Edit, I want to add additional thought as well. Cheating is not only an emotional hurt but a sign that you give zero care about your partner's health. He was presumably still having sex with his ex-girlfriend after sleeping with no condoms with his ex-wife. With the rate of sexually transmitted diseases and infections increasing and the likelihood of the disease being antibiotic resistant, he told his ex that he had zero care for health and emotional well-being. She had the basic right to know that he slept with another person while still being intimate with her. Especially with no form of protection. Not calling the ex-wife dirty, but with the risk of catching a disease that's incurable or opens you up to higher risk of illness. Every person who is engaging in a sexual relationships deserves honesty. All of this may be true. I'm not arguing anything you said. But I'd like to know what everyone on Reddit thinks we're supposed to do about it. We can't go back in time and undo what we did. Update 3. Our daughter is 3 months old now, impossibly tiny and full of personality already, with her father's wildly expressive eyebrows and this curious, steady gaze that seems to know way too much. Her siblings are obsessed with her, which is a whole mix of heart melting and chaos. In the beginning I worried how our older 3 would fit this surprise sister into their already very changed world. Turns out, kids really do adapt faster than adults. My oldest is now self-appointed co-mom, alternating between wanting to change diapers and rolling her eyes when I ask her to fetch a clean onesie. My boys compete for who can make the baby laugh. The baby, for her part, loves the noise and rarely naps for longer than 20 minutes at a time, as if afraid she'll miss out. As for my relationship with their dad, buckle up. If you remember, we'd agreed to keep living separately, but spend time together as a family. Our fear, mine especially, was making things too unstable for our kids, or falling back into old habits only to split again. We thought we were being cautious. We thought, with therapy and honest talk, we could find the sweet spot between together but not together. Here's what's wild: when the baby was about 6 weeks old, we hit a wall. Or maybe it was a turning point. Call it what you will. My ex, I should start calling him something else soon, was helping after a late night feed. I was bone tired and senselessly emotional, nursing the baby in the blue glow of the aquarium nightlight, when she looked right up at him and gave her first real, gummy, smile. He looked at me, absolutely devastated and utterly in love, and he said, "I hate that I have to leave you both after this." I broke. For the first time since our divorce, I let myself ugly cry in front of him, and confessed that as much as I liked my space, I hated our arrangement some nights, the loneliness, handing off the kids, the sense that real life was happening somewhere else. We had a genuinely uncomfortable conversation about the life we wanted, and whether we were just clinging to the illusion of independence or self-preservation. Honestly, I don't know who melted first. Within the week, we started trialing something new, not quite moving in, but more nights together, fewer handoffs, and a lot more honesty, and a lot less pretending in front of the kids. We joked that we were practicing at living together before officially doing it, a sort of parenthood rehearsal. There was mess. There was sex. There was more mess, the non-glamorous, cohabiting version of love with laundry, dishes, family group texts, late-night diaper leaks, and the wild hope that we wouldn't ruin the magic again. It wasn't all love songs and sunlight. 2 weeks into this little cohabitation experiment, we had our first full-blown, post-reconciliation fight, over, of all things, how he folds the towels. He claims I'm a towel folder tyrant. I maintain parallel creases matter. It was so mundane, and so normal, it made us both laugh when we'd calmed down. I'd forgotten what it felt like to be angry at him in the way you can only be with someone you truly, messily love. But we are cleaning up each other's messes. He brings me coffee at sunrise, even if he's been up with the baby for hours. I've discovered a new patience seeing him with our baby daughter. He's softer now, I'm slower to snap. Our therapist calls it post-divorce growth. It feels more like clinging to the raft together after the ship went down, but in a good way. The kids, for their part, started referring to us as the parents, like we were a sitcom duo. Our oldest, suspicious for weeks, finally cornered us after dinner, her siblings playing with blocks, baby cooing in the bouncer, and asked, "So, is Dad living here again? Are we a family now?" We sat all 4 kids down and explained, yes, we're living together, but this time because we want to, not because we felt stuck or thought we should. We told them grown-ups can get it wrong, and sometimes you get lucky enough to try again. And then came the real test. My extended family's annual lakeside reunion. It was the first time we'd appeared in public as back together, again, everyone, all 6 of us, in one cabin. Imagine an Airstream-sized tension cloud, my mother's pursed lips, my siblings waiting for gossip. Instead, they got a team, baby wearing, pancake flipping, child wrangling, sleep deprived, but kind to each other. At the end of the weekend, my mother hugged me and whispered, "I hope you're happy, honey. You deserve to be." I ugly cried again. It's kind of my thing, apparently. As summer ended, he officially moved in, all his things, his toolbox, and somehow his collection of grotesque novelty mugs. We're making plans to convert the old office into his, actually our, space. We talked about possibly renewing our vows someday, but for now, we're just focused on functioning one day at a time. I'm not naive. After all the therapy, loss, and healing, I know how hard this is and how much more work it takes. I don't think we're done, or that this is a fairy tale retread of our 20s. But for the first time in years, our home is filled with the sound of all 4 of our children, the baby's delighted shrieks, his groaning about the million tiny pink clothes, and my laughter at it all. Update 4. I have no idea if anyone is still following, but I needed to spill what's happened the last couple months. I joked in my last update about us clinging to the raft together. Well, I half expected we'd capsize by now. Instead, life just keeps getting wilder, messier, and, somehow, more honest. There's something about surviving the disaster and trying again. It's weirdly exhilarating and deeply terrifying at the same time. Here's the latest. After my partner, my husband, I've just given in to calling him that now, moved all the way back into this house, there was a very real honeymoon mini era. For about 6 weeks, we rode the delirium of having everyone under one roof, new routines, late-night baby giggles, and grocery bills that could bankroll a small country. Then, as if on cue, reality crashed the party. I went back to work, remote, but still. The baby's sleep went off a cliff. My oldest got into a heated chess rivalry with a girl in her class and brought home a B in math for the first time, which for her meant full apocalyptic meltdown. Our middle son had a sudden, intense obsession with medieval weapons, came into the kitchen wielding a Lego flail and chanting about the siege of Jerusalem. Our 5-yo, fiercely missing his special mom days, staged a protest by refusing to wear shoes for a week. There were days the house felt like a sitcom set written by someone who'd never met children but knew chaos. But here's the thing, this time, we didn't implode. Instead, we tag-teamed, sometimes badly, sometimes with a sense of humor, sometimes just hanging on. The stuff that tanked us the first time, the feeling of being alone together, the built-up tiny resentments about who does more, crept in, but we called it out. The first night we both lost our patience and snapped at the kids. He poured us wine after bedtime and said, "Remember when we used to just be so mad at each other we'd go to bed angry?" Now, we lingered in the kitchen until 1 a.m., actually talking about our day, about how scary loving someone is when you already know what it feels like to lose it all. Strangest of all, I think that fear keeps us unstuck. Therapy, which I expected would fade into the background, has gotten weirder and more vital. We realized the big stuff was mostly sorted. It was the microscopic, daily choices that would sink us or save us. Our counselor gave us homework. Every Thursday, after the last bedtime struggle, we take one real walk together. No strollers, no monitors, just trade off, phone on vibrate, out the door, even for 15 minutes. First week, we didn't talk about anything deeper than which neighbor's landscaping we envied. By week 4, we ended up sitting in our local park at midnight, talking about the future, his dream of going back for his master's in engineering, my secret fantasy of buying a plot of land and building a separate entrances duplex. I still need my own kitchen counter space. For the first time in actual years, I don't feel like we're just running alongside each other, but in step, even when we're both huffing and grumbling into the wind. And the kids? I underestimated them, again. My oldest dispatched her fears about everyone leaving again by dominating the family group text with memes, then demanded she and her dad start a chess club at school. Our sons, after witnessing precisely 3 classic rom-coms one rainy Saturday, announced they were co-writing mom and dad's love story in crayon, and taped chapter 1, stick figures, lots of hearts, a baby with 3 strands of hair, to the fridge. The baby, meanwhile, is officially crawling, hell-bent on chewing power cords, and has decided, in all her 17 pounds of might, that any time we try to leave a room together she must protest at max volume. 4 kids, each loud and particular as a symphony, but their rhythms are beginning to blend. Extended family, for the most part, has fallen in line, though my mother wouldn't be herself if she didn't offer dramatic warnings about not tempting fate. It helps that my brother and his wife just divorced for the second time. Honestly, our drama is no longer the worst in the annual Christmas letter. There was, however, one enormous family hurdle I hadn't anticipated. My, now step again? Father-in-law got sick in late winter, hospitalized for several weeks, ICU level serious, the kind of thing that snaps your heart back to the essentials. We spent 3 weeks sharing the hospital cafeteria's cheese sandwiches, handing off baby and kids, having the same late-night existential talks as we did years ago with our own kids. But something shifted in that hospital. Watching my husband hold his father's hand, I stopped seeing him as just my ex. He's a man who's been through the ache and the mess and stuck with his people. I remembered, viscerally, why I loved him at the start. When his father pulled through, frailer but still shooting off caustic one-liners, the first thing he asked us was, "So, are you idiots remarrying, or what?" Cue awkward silence, laughter, then a surprisingly not repellent sense of hope. "No, there's no wedding on the horizon, at least not yet." We even joked, in front of our therapist, about eloping to a courthouse as a seasonal tradition. But we're not rushing. The truth is, we're actively choosing each other, every messy, weird day. The kids know it, our families see it, and for the first time, I feel it, not blind and hopeful, but knowing just how bad it can get, and how much sweeter the repair is after. The separate houses dream is still alive. We're looking at a small plot on the edge of town, where maybe, someday, we'll build side-by-side homes with a big connecting porch and enough space for each of us to take a deep breath. For now, we're sharing the mayhem. I cook. He folds towels, wrong, still, predictably. Baby eats spaghetti by the fistful. Our daughter yells for all of us to watch her do another cartwheel. Some nights we bicker, some nights we make out in the laundry room, some nights, honestly, we just collapse and watch trashy baking shows. It is imperfect, upside down, entirely ours. I used to think a happy ending looked like the smooth, waltzing reconciling couples in movies. Now, I know it's the sound of a baby's laughter echoing down the hall, 4 kids yelling over who gets the lucky cereal bowl, and my husband, putting his hand on my back after a long hard day, saying simply, "We made it through another one. Maybe we'll mess it up again, but I know, at least this time, we'll keep trying." For ourselves, for each other, for every unexpected, ordinary joy we almost lost.